We will not go back. We've come too far, and we're not going to give up now. Let every voice and sing. Still and you've heard me tell the story before, and you know our work is not finished. It makes me sad. It makes me feel like crying when people are denied the right to vote. They came toward us, beating us with nightsticks, trampling us with voices, releasing tear gas. Some gave a little blood, and others lost their lives. On March 7, 1965, I gave a little blood on the Edmund Pettus Bridge for the right to vote.
There was something deep down within me, moving me, that I could no longer be satisfied or go along with an evil system, that I had to be maladjusted to it. And in spite of all of this, I had to keep loving the people who denied me service.
You have to put yourself in harm's way. And in the process, you may stir up some violence, but you would not engage in the violence. I was doing what I thought was right. Get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. That's what I've been doing for more than 50 years, and I will continue to do it.
In my heart or hearts, I believe we have a moral responsibility to restore access for all of our citizens who desire to participate in the democratic process. The right to vote is precious, almost sacred. In a democratic society, it is the most powerful, non-violent instrument or tool that we have. We have a moral obligation, a mission, and a mandate to empower all of the American people, not just a select few. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? We do not want our freedom gradually, but we want to be free now. We are tired. We are tired of being beaten by policemen. We are tired of seeing our people locked up in jail over and over again. And then you holler, be patient. How long can we be patient? We want our freedom, and we want it now.
So let me catch you up. In 2022, Louisiana state legislators drew an electoral map called HB 1 that only included one majority black district out of 6 statewide, despite the 2020 census showing that 1/3 of the Louisiana population was black. Civil rights groups and community members sued, and it was decided that they needed a new map with 2 majority black districts to reflect the state's population. The new map, SB 8, passed in the state legislature in 2024, and it seemed like it was over. But a group of non-African American voters claimed SB 8 was unconstitutional because race was the sole reason for the map. They argued because the map was created to fix discrimination against black voters, it was discriminating against white voters. This is Louisiana versus Calais.
And the Calais case wound up being heard by 2 Trump judges. And those Trump judges said that the maps that Louisiana drew were themselves unconstitutional.
7 months later.
We will hear argument first this morning in Case 24-109, Louisiana versus Calais.
These arguments were framed around a single question: whether the state's intentional creation of a second majority-minority congressional district violates the 14th or 15th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution.
This court's cases, in a variety of contexts, have said that race-based remedies are permissible for a period of time, sometimes for a long period of time, decades in some cases, but that they should not be indefinite and should have an end point.
If it's going above and beyond what the 15th Amendment requires of its own force, but Congress has actually chosen the Voting Rights Act as a remedy, does that affect the question of whether it can go on indefinitely or not?
I had two takeaways from the argument in Calais. One is that the Republican justices are absolutely determined to eliminate the Voting Rights Act racial gerrymandering safeguards. The other thing is that they have no idea how to do it. They couldn't agree on a rationale for why they should do it. They sort of started with the outcome they wanted, and then were tossing out different theories they could use to get to that outcome.
I find it particularly cruel to use two amendments that were created to protect Black and other communities of color and women, right, after Reconstruction, to use those two amendments to then take away voice and rights from the very people they were created to protect.
In many ways, the Voting Rights Act has already been gutted and no longer carries the same protections it once had. This case could be its last gasp.
Now, our governor, our attorney general, and our legislature, who are all Republicanly controlled, are saying that it was a mistake. It was a mistake to create a fair map. It was a mistake to give voice to an opportunity for Black voters to be able to elect a candidate of choice, to have true representation.
You know, I've always viewed the Voting Rights Act as like a sacred text. You know, this is the law that finally made the United States into a liberal democracy where everyone had an equal, or at least every citizen had an equal say in who would govern them. But the law only works if you can trust the federal government to want to implement this law.
If the court decides to strike down Section 2, it would be ruling that any use of race in districting, even if it was meant to remedy racial discrimination in the first place, is illegal.
In the likely event that the Supreme Court overrules Jingles and eliminates the Voting Rights Act's protections against racial gerrymandering, the immediate effects are going to be pretty catastrophic, both for Black representation and for Democrats.
Some reports suggest that as many as 19 House seats could be flipped Republican with redrawn district maps. And it's not just the House of Representatives.
This is bigger than just one congressional seat in the state of Louisiana. We could see a sweeping change that would set us back 60 years.
Is among a group of voting rights advocates fighting back after Supreme Court decisions that allowed Republicans in the South to move forward with new congressional maps that dilute the power of minority voters. Former Massachusetts Congressman Joe Kennedy III is the founder of Groundwork Project. Thanks so much for being with us. Congressman, you just convened with leaders from Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi. How do you come up with a unified strategy for all of these places together?
So look, I think many of us across the country feel discouraged, angry, disheartened, demoralized, but not defeated. And so what you're actually seeing from the conditions on the ground in some of these states, Alabama and Mississippi in particular, and these elections, primary elections were before the Calais decision, but you had nearly 365,000 Democratic primary voters in Alabama, which is the most that had turned out in nearly 20 years. You had 150,000 primary voters in Mississippi. That was nearly double what it was just 2 years ago. So what are you seeing on the ground? You're seeing an understanding and a recognition from communities across the South, across the country, that what's coming from this White House is an effort to rig the game against their lives and daily experience, and they are fighting back. And what comes next then is, again, linking arm in arm, demanding that a government be as good as its people, as generous as its people, and continue to band together to actually send a message on Election Day in November to send the right people to Washington to undo this harm.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as a rolling sea. let's talk.